The actions and inactions of the ANC have consequences that are very, very dangerous for South Africa and her citizens. They border on treason. Welcome to another video. Please subscribe, share and repost this video using #SmartVoters, #CitizenConcerned, and always beware of the comrades. I try to share these videos talking about how the ANC is corrupt and how they've destroyed this country. Videos on how the EFF, Julius Malema and his friends are corrupt, and many people will say, why do you like talking about that? Why don't you give them a break? Excuse me? Are you serious when you're typing such comments? Another question they ask is, if the people you speak about are so corrupt, then why are they not in jail? If Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, or all these politicians are indeed corrupt, then why are they not behind bars? If Floyd Shivambu and his brother actually benefited from VBS funds, then bring the proof and arrest them. Why don't you open a police case against them? And I must admit, these are valuable and very good questions. The ANC-led government has adopted the habit of not investigating and prosecuting the many heads of corruption that are destroying South Africa. The public protector will compile evidence, make a report. The newspapers will spread the message. The news channels and even social media will be on fire. We will be amazed by the corruption so much that we share the information with our friends and our family, and we get so angry. We ask the question, what can we do? And we end up at the same sad point. A point of saying nothing is going to change. The ordinary citizen has heard it all before, and he knows what follows. Based on prior experience, they know that even after the reporting is done, evidence presented, nothing will happen to the government officials and the business people involved. Very, very rarely do you see action resulting in severe punishments to these corrupt people. Edwin Sodi only ended up in jail after more than 30 people had died due to his corruption and incompetence. He had made about $1 billion per year for many years through these activities and never got into trouble. But once people started dying because of the dirty water in one of his tenders, Cyril Ramaphosa instructed the SIU to investigate him. Imagine that. All the reports of the looting, corruption, and irregular tenders were ignored. But once people died, that's when they came to seize his houses. Evidence was there, reports had been made, but people had to die for any action to be taken. So we can say, well done, Mr. President, for allowing the SIU to investigate, but it's more than 30 people too late. I'm sick to my stomach when I realize that this government has created that network of corrupt officials and businessmen that no matter what, you can report them as corrupt, but they will not end up in court for their corruption, much less jail. Thabo Mbeki fired Jacob Zuma for corruption. But why was Zuma's firing not followed by a day in court to answer for that corruption? Mbeki let us down there. Not long after Zuma was fired, he was back running for presidency instead of sitting in jail. The Gupta family managed to run away from South Africa with billions. They worked with Zuma and Zuma's son Duduzane to sow division in South Africa, but they were not punished. The same Zuma's son now has the audacity, like his father, to run for presidency instead of hiding in shame. He wants to be a president now. Julius benefited in tens, if not hundreds of millions of rands, and nothing happened to him. He's running for presidency right now too. It's almost as if there's a job advert circulating that reads, "Are you corrupt? Are you incompetent? we're looking for you to run for presidency. Apply today. The Minister of Electricity has a serious record of being either so incompetent or so corrupt or both in his previous posts. But right now, he's a Minister of Electricity appearing on TV, acting like a celeb who knows what he's talking about. Any person who knows the news articles related to him should feel nauseous. But there he is. He should be in orange, but he's on your screen in Michael Kors sweaters with Ramaphosa's stamp of approval. Minister Ramaphosa's track record, his poor experience, corruption, and incompetence show that he was not only a poor choice for the job of Minister of Electricity, but he's supposed to be behind bars for the billions that have disappeared because of his corruption, his lack of skill, talent, and ability. With more than 2,000 cases of corruption registered at Eskom, this man, who Ramaphosa wants us to believe is clean and competent, told us that corruption is not the problem at Eskom. Imagine, corruption is not a problem at Eskom. There are several people in government who have this problem, and like Minister Lamini said, each one has their own smolanyana skeleton, right?
Anyone who wants to raise an issue about what has happened to them must go to the structures of the ANC, because this has been the culture of the ANC. And therefore, if there are differences, they must be sorted out from the officials level up until the National Executive Committee level. They cannot be sorted out through media statements. So we might have different issues, and all those issues are not important. It is the ANC that is important. All of us there in the NEC have our smolanyana skeletons, and we don't want to take out all skeletons out, because they will be, or hell will break loose.
Uma bazizinto ngami engingazazi mina ngazi izinto ngabo abanye abazaziyo bona ukuthi zinjani.
If they know things about me that I don't know, I also know things about them, so I don't want them to appear innocent at my expense. I will defend myself.
Imagine, these ANC people know each other to be corrupt and use it to keep each other and themselves in power. Just how disgusting. And affected citizens still want to pledge allegiance and loyalty to these kinds of people? Statements by Dlamini and Zuma are part of why we see Cyril Ramaphosa is just an empty suit, a placeholder, a man with no mission, just big smiles, big salary, big cars, while he has no targeted mission, or at least no mission that is targeted to the benefit of South African citizens. That's why you see that he appoints corrupt people in power. They probably know his smolanyana skeletons. Corruption goes unpunished in South Africa so much that I even started to wonder whether the law has anything about corruption at all. Is this even a crime? Is corruption even a crime in South Africa? Because it's a lot. It's a lot. So I checked, and according to SAPS, Chapter 2 of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act of 2004 defines corruption as any person who gives or accepts or offers to give or accept any gratification amounting to an unauthorized or improper inducement to act or not act in a particular manner is guilty of an offense. Chapter 3 tells us what corruption looks like, and it is what we thought it was. We see words like illegal, dishonest, unauthorized, incomplete, or biased. The abuse of a position of authority, a breach of trust, the violation of a legal duty or a set of rules. designed to achieve an unjustified result or that amounts to any other unauthorized or improper inducement to do or not to do anything. Part 2 says aiding or assisting in procuring or preventing the passing of, granting of any contract or advantage in favor of any person. So South African law does speak to corruption, yet to this day Zuma has not been to jail for his corruption. He hasn't been to court to answer for his crimes. Yes, he went to jail, but for a crime unrelated to the corruption itself. Imagine that. I'm confident that Cyril Ramaphosa has his own issues, including Marikana, Phala, and other smallanyana skeletons that make him complicit in corruption activities. Why else would the man who is supposed to uphold the law above everyone else not take action against criminals? Why? That's why Malema, Shivambu, Zizi Kodwa, and many others in the ANC are confident they can simply say, arrest us if there is a story. There's no dignity in the office of the president or any of the MPs and ministers that support him. They have desecrated our public institutions so much that even when you've been a criminal, you feel confident enough to run for president. When you and I apply for employment, there's a background check that's done. They check if we have criminal records. Many people are wary of committing crimes in order to not jeopardize future chances of employment. But in politics, criminals are so ambitious, they are breaking boundaries, applying for the highest, cleanest, most dignified jobs. Criminals are now becoming mayors and even trying to be presidents of this country. Why? Because if Malema and Zuma can do it, then anyone can do it, right? Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Kunene have followed in those same footsteps. Would you allow a thief, even a former one, to be a security guard watching your gold? Would you allow a child molester, even a former one, to be your child's teacher or babysitter? Why then do you allow criminals to run the affairs of our nation? Affairs that affect your money, your education, your healthcare, your children, and many other things. In many places, criminals know that they can't run for office, but not in South Africa. And that's what I hate the most about the ANC-led government. They have made light of corruption. They have given corrupt officials ministerial and presidential positions. They've made it seem like everyone pointing out corruption is creating a smear campaign against the corrupt people. Julius Malema is even brave enough to say that journalists that expose him are either racist or agents of white monopoly capital. The fact that no cases are opened and no arrests made for the many millions looted confuses the voters. When we tell voters that these politicians are corrupt, the voters conclude that we are liars, we are smear campaigners, agents targeting their innocent politicians. To these voters, all the money we say these politicians have received doesn't matter. To these voters, these people are innocent because if they were criminals, they are supposed to be in jail. This is a fact because to a normal citizen, criminals must go to jail when they have been exposed. Why then are these politicians not going to jail? It must mean they are innocent. We are surrounded by dirty pigs left, right, and center, and voters don't know who to vote for. They have damaged our political landscape, our state entities, and our economy. And it got me thinking to myself, this is likely treason. So I did some looking around and I found this. The relevant findings by Judge Friedman are: treason can be committed in times of peace as well as war. The key element is hostile intent, which includes unlawfully impairing or endangering the existence, independence, or security of the state. Motive of serving an enemy country or seditious group is not required. Greed can be the motive. Direct intention to undermine or sabotage the state is not required. Hostile intent is proven if the perpetrator knew that by striving to fulfill his aim, he would impair or endanger the existence, independence, or security of the government. The ANC's corruption and inability to act against corrupt figures inside and outside the ANC is diminishing our standards of what's acceptable in the offices of leadership, thus endangering the independence or security of our government. This is treason. The vast majority of them know the crimes of their comrades, and they have let them take office and stay in power. That's why they send threats to each other like children, speaking to each other through the media to get their opponents to back off, or else I'll snitch on you too. If you tell on me, I'll tell on you. South Africa, I hope you can place your vote in the hands of decent people. Let's restore pride in our institutions, read about the leaders of these political parties, and identify the clean ones. Vote for the clean ones, the ones with a good public record and the best service record, the ones that never looted when they were mayors and leaders. While you're at it, please donate to our bank account, which is below, or join our YouTube membership. Give what you can, if you can. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, and repost this video using #SmartVoters, #CitizenConcerned. Always, always beware of the comrades.